You're very welcome to the program today. Um, this is my working class pen literary program. Um, this is actually my first time of, you know, trying a live event. So I appreciate you being here to hang out with me. Thank you for coming. Um, my working class pen is all about poetry reading, book discussions, creative writing masterclass, and an avenue for everyone. Me, those who are going to be presenting it with me, and the audience to showcase their own work. Because I know that most times people who are starting out in the literary field, like myself, they find it very difficult to find an outlet for people to experience their work and appreciate it. So I want to use this opportunity to create such an avenue for people like me who are starting out and don't know where to start, don't know who to turn to, don't know who to, show their work to see, to appreciate it for them. So that's why I and a few of my friends are coming together to host this live event. But for today, I'm doing it alone. Subsequently, a few of my friends are going to be joining me to host it. Currently, we have a few challenges. We're not able to co-host at the moment on YouTube because I have only 24 subscribers, but I need 50 to get other co-hosts to join me. So subsequently, hopefully, they will be able to join me when I've crossed that barrier. Um, for those who are watching from Facebook, um, I'm you are seeing me from my personal page, which is not what we need as a group of friends who are coming together to do this. Subsequently, we'll be doing it on a Facebook page, which needs 100 followers to do as well. So hopefully, by the time we cross that barrier as well on Facebook, we'll be able to co-host together and make it more fun for you, more lively. That said, today we will be looking at some of William Blake's poems. A little about William Blake, some fun facts about William Blake before we go into his poems. Um, William Blake was largely uncelebrated during his time, but today he's one of the greatest English poets. Talk about, creative writers, novelists, poets not being appreciated during their own time. But when they are gone, the beauty of their work begin to resonate with people. But should that be so? Should it be so? So we want to use this opportunity to give people, especially up and coming writers like me, the opportunity to be celebrated right before their own eyes, right in front, while they are still alive. Let someone read their work. Let them read their work so someone can appreciate it and celebrate them. So if you've got um, the work you would like to share, with others, you're welcome. You're welcome. Just let us know, and we'll find a way to get you on board to share it with everyone. So a little about William Blake. He was largely uncelebrated during his own time. He was known to claim to to see visions right from when he was very young. Visions of angels sitting in, branches of trees. He apprenticed as an engraver at the age of 14, and that also gave him the technical skills he used to sketch his work. Some of his poems were complemented with sketches. He believed so much in imagination. He believed that imagination was the highest human faculty. He opposed everything that is socially unjust. He he said that his marriage was unusual, but I don't know what was unusual about it. Just because he got married to uh, someone who was considered to be non-literate, he himself um, he didn't go to school. He was trained at home. Yeah, he he was homeschooled. So when he got married to a non-literate, he trained his wife by himself, and subsequently the wife became his assistant. It's said some people consider it unusual, but so many men do that now, don't they? And a few other things about him. The one that touched me the most is the fact that he died while singing hymns and sketching a portrait of his wife. He's said to have died doing that. He was in the process of doing that, singing and sketching the portrait of his wife. How lovely. Such a memory to go with him. It's it's such a beautiful thing to read about him. All right. So much about his life. Now we're going to be reading some some of his poems. We'll start with song. Actually, he had three collections of poetries that were well known: poetic sketches, um, songs of innocence, and songs of experience. So we'll be taking some poems from um, each of these collections. So I have with me here my anthology. I love this book, Norton, an anthology of English literature. So we'll be reading from here. The first poem, Song. How sweet I roamed from field to field and tasted all the summer's pride, till I the prince of love beheld, who in the sunny beams did glide. He shewed me lilies for my hair, and blushing roses for my brow. He led me through his gardens fair, where all his golden pleasures grow. With sweet May dews my wings were wet, and Phoebus furred my vocal rage. He caught me in his silken net and shut me in his golden cage. He loves to sit and hear me sing, then laughing sports and plays with me, then stretches out my golden wing and mocks my loss of liberty. Now, uh, one of the reasons why some people shy away from reading poetry is because they think that the language is difficult to understand because it's loaded with imagery, symbolism, and all these figures of speech that go way over the head of some people that, oh my god, I can't do this. But there's maybe a tip or a workaround. I know that people might want to read poem, but this scares them, just pushes them away, that they don't even want to give it a try. I think that the simple workaround for this, so that anyone, you don't have to have read English, or you don't have to have known so much about poetry to read and enjoy a poem. I think every poem tells a story, just like every novel, tells a story. People like to read novels more because it's easier to understand. But I think you can as well approach poetry in the same manner, knowing that whatever poem you're about to read tells a story. All you need to find out is to ask the poem, what story are you telling me? Okay. I see poetry like, if you can approach it like a sentence. For a sentence to have a full meaning, it's got to have a subject and a verb. So if you're able to find out from the poem who is talking in the poem and about whom are they talking, then you've solved the subject issue. That's the subject of a sentence. You've that once you're able to tell who is talking and who they're talking to, you have solved one puzzle. Then the next thing is to find out what they're talking about. That's the action. What are they talking about? The moment you're able to tell who and whom and what they're talking about, forget about every other thing, all the other, um, not that you forget. I'm talking to people who are afraid of reading poetry now. I'm trying to give them a way to ease into it. But for scholars for literary scholars, do your own thing. Analyze it to the very last bit of it. I'm talking about people who want to read poetry but are usually, you know, scared of not being able to understand it. Yeah. So for those people, if they're able to solve the mystery of who is talking, who to whom, if it's applicable, because sometimes you have only someone talking but no one being addressed. But in some cases, you would also have someone being addressed. Yeah. And then if you are able to work out what they are talking about, that's all you need to know to enjoy every poem that you read. Yeah. So in this particular poem we have read, Song, who is talking? Who is talking? How sweet I roamed from field to field. We've already seen somebody talking. I. And who is that person? Because we're looking at The prince, that's another character. The who we are trying to solve here. Once you're able to tell the characters in the poem, you are on your way to understanding it. We have seen I, the person talking, yeah. And then we have seen that the person met a prince because he says, till I, the prince of love, beheld. So when we see these kind of things in any poem, we already know we're talking about a male and a female. The prince is there, then a female is talking because we see that the prince gives her flowers for her hair. Yeah, gives her flowers for her hair and takes her by the hand, shows her all the beautiful things that he has, all the beautiful things he has. More like what men do today. Sorry, men, this is not an attack on you. We're just reading a poem. This prince shows her all the beautiful things in his garden. Oh, I have this, I have that, this mansion, these fleet of cars. Come on and enjoy yourself. And she goes with him. And what happens? What happens? You know, from what we've read from the third stanza, we see that the lady is filled with so much energy to sing out loud for, that the beautiful thing that life has thrown away. She's so energized to sing. Oh, la, 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 la. Oh my God, my life is perfect now. But guess what? Is it perfect? Let's find out. She finds out that the prince caught her. It says here, he caught me in his silken net. When you hear a net, what comes to your mind? Trap. She's trapped. So we have, sweet talking men who can mesmerize you with poetic language, with sweet talk, and then you go with them. What happens? This speaker here loses her freedom because the prince cages her, puts her in a cage. That's what he says. He caught me in his silken net and shot me in his golden cage. So it starts so beautifully. How does it end? What this poem has portrayed here, how many years ago? How many years ago? William Blake he lived between, let's see, he lived between 1785 to 1830. How long ago was that? What he wrote about then, is it still happening? Is it still happening? We all know the answer to that. So we go on to the second poem, Mad Song. Mad Song. The wild winds weep, and the night is a cold. Come hither, sleep, and my griefs unfold, and my griefs enfold. But lo, the morning peeps over the eastern steeps, and the rustling birds of dawn the earth do scorn. Lo, the vault of paved heaven, with sorrow fraught, my notes are driven. They strike the ear of the night, make weep the eyes of day. They make mad the roaring winds, and the tempests play. Like a fiend in a cloud with howling war, after night I do crowd, and with night will go. I turn my back to the east, from whence comforts have increased. For light doth seize my brain, with frantic pain. In this poem, let's work out the characters so we can get into the meaning. The wild winds weep, and the night is a cold. Come hither, sleep. So we see one character, apart from the speaker who is talking, who is telling us that the wild winds are weeping. When you hear ooh, and the wind is making such a turbulent noise, the speaker is describing what's going on around him in nature. And then we see a character, sleep. The speaker is calling sleep. Come, come and fold me over. Just come and engulf me. Come and take over. Take over. The speaker in this poem, I would say he's afraid of daylight. He likes darkness because it affords him the time to give himself over to sleep. Because when we read further, we discover that possibly the reason is because sleep gives him the time to forget all the troubles that that assail him. We see here where he says the sorrow. Low to the vault of paved heaven. You know, when someone is going through so much in life, through so much that they're mentally unstable, mentally not deranged, not not like it's a they need to have a psychiatric examination. But when someone is mentally disturbed, yeah, feels there's a lot going on in their lives that they cry out every time they are awake and they're aware of where they are, of what is going on in their lives. They're crying out to high heavens. That's the way I see this poem. You know, poems can generate a lot of meanings. And like my lecturer would always say, be proud to say this is your own reading of the poem. So it might not be what others see in the poem, but that's what you see in the poem. So this is my own reading of the poem. This is someone who has so much going on in their in their life that once they are awake and aware of their surroundings, of themselves, they become so disturbed that they begin to cry to high heavens because of the sorrows that they are fraught with. Okay. And he says, my notes are driven. You know why you cry? And your cries pierce the heaven because of what is going on in your life, because of what is going on, because of the problems that assail you. You don't know who to run to, you don't know where to go to, you don't know where to start from. That's what I see going on in this poem, where the speaker is going through a phase in his life that sleeping brings him comfort, and he's scared, he's afraid of day, because daylight brings consciousness, brings awareness, brings back all his troubles. That's what I see in that poem. And that's why he says the last two lines, for light doth seize my brain. Light, once there is daylight, takes hold of his brain and says, oh, you're awake now. You're awake now. See, you've not done this. You've not done that. That's waiting for you. That's waiting for you. So That awareness, the awareness that daylight brings, is the torture that he's going through. And that's why he beckons on sleep. Come and take over. Let me lose this consciousness for a while. All right. We go to the next one. Do you know of people who are going through such a life as this? Do you? You might think of reaching out to them. A hug, a hi, a smile can make all the difference and make daylight more tolerable to them, more tolerable. So we go to this song of innocence. And the one I so much like is the lamb because of its playfulness. It's very playful, very playful. The lamb. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee feed by the stream and o'er the mead, gave thee clothing of delight, softest clothing, woolly bright, gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I'll tell thee. Little lamb, I'll tell thee. He is called by thy name, for he calls himself a lamb. He is meek and he is mild. He became a little child, I a child, and thou a lamb. We are called by his name. Little lamb, God bless thee. Little lamb, God bless thee. This is very, very self explanatory, very playful, like I said, very sweet, with all the rhyme schemes beautifully written. So it makes allusion to Jesus calling himself the Lamb of God. So he starts with the lamb we know, the lamb that we're all, familiar with, and then compares the lamb with, the Lamb of God. And then also says that he too is a lamb since he's a child, like the lamb. So he says that both both the speaker and the lamb are the same, and they are all called by the name of the lamb, uh, the one who calls himself a lamb. The divine image. The divine image. To mercy, pity, peace, and love, all pray in their distress. And to these virtues of delight, return their thankfulness. For mercy, pity, peace, and love is God our Father dear. And mercy, pity, peace, and love is man, his child and care. For mercy has a human heart, pity a human face, and love the human form divine, and peace the human dress. Then every man of every clime that prays in his distress, prays to the human form divine, love, mercy, pity, peace. And all must love the human form in heathen, Turk, or Jew, where mercy, love, and pity dwell. There God is dwelling too. So this is more like a sermon, more like what you would hear in the church, where you are told that wherever good is, that's where God is. Because it's not enough to say you go to church or you belong to this faith or that faith, and then you've got none of these attributes, none of these virtues. This poem is saying, no, it is in these virtues that God shows himself. It is in these virtues that the human form gains divine nature. So we see a repetition of these virtues: mercy, pity, peace, and love. Yeah? And see how he, you know, describes each of them in this stanza. He says, mercy has a human heart. Mercy has a human heart. That's when you're compassionate. That's when you pinch yourself before you pinch someone else. So you know how it feels. That's when you see someone crying and you run to the person. Why are you crying? What's going on? How can I help you? That's where God is. That's what the poem is saying. We're not in the church. We're not in the church now, but this is what the poem is saying. Yep. And it says, pity the human face. Pity is the human face. Now, these days, some people not hate, don't like the word pity. Don't pity me. So might go with being compassionate. But the word that's used in the poem is pity. So compassionate, you know, that's what it says here. That compassion is the human face. If you're not wearing compassion, then the poem is saying, check yourself, you might not be human. You might not be human. It says compassion is the human face. So if you're not wearing that as your face, compassion, the poem says, ah, might be, are we looking at a monster here or something? And it says, love is the human form divine. It is love that takes you beyond humanity, takes you beyond the flesh, takes you beyond what this life is capable, beyond what physicality is capable. Okay? So love gives you that divine form. That's this poem. That's what the poem is saying. When you show love, you gain divine nature, that it activates the divinity in you. That's what the poem says. And then it says, peace, the human dress. Peace, the human dress. So when you're wearing a dress, the name is peace. What happens to you? Wherever you are at peace. You are at home. You are together. You are in one piece. That's what the poem is saying. Before I read the next ones, I would like to invite those who are interested in sharing their own poems with me here online. You can drop it in the comment section. Not drop the poem because you don't want to expose your poem that way. You might drop a comment so I can reach out to you, or you reach out to me. Anyways, um, my social media handle is my Dizibe Dreams across all social media platforms: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. My social media handle is my Dizibe Dreams. So you can always reach me there if you want to showcase your own work as well. We go on to the next poem. I actually like this one. It's like a little drama. This one is like a little drama. It's from the collection of poems of innocence, poems of experience. The clod and the pebble. This is a speech act from one of the characters in this poem. It's a speech act. And the character says, "Love seeketh not itself to please, nor for itself hath any care, but for another gives its ease, and builds a heaven in hell's despair." That's the end of the speech act. And the poem continues. So sang a little clod of clay, trodden with the cattle's feet, but a pebble of the brook bubbled out these meters meet. The second speech act from a different character. Love seeketh only self to please, to bind another to its delight, joys in another's loss of ease, and builds a hell in heaven's despite. This is echoing what we saw in the first poem we read, Song. Here in this particular poem, we see a kind of argument between a, a lump of clay and a pebble. A lump of clay and a pebble. The clay says, "Love seeketh not itself to please, nor for itself hath any care, but for another gives its ease, and builds a heaven in hell's despair." The clay is saying, "Oh, love is my mother. She gives herself to her family. She abandons herself. She does not take care of herself. She's living for the entire family, always never remembering to take care of herself." That's what the clay is saying. That's love. Love is giving over yourself for the good of others, forgetting that you exist just so others can be okay. It's like what women do in families. I'm not saying men, it's like what women and men do in families. But usually we know how naturally mothers are like that more often than not. Yeah. But hey, we see that both in men and women in families where they toil day and night, all for the good of the family, to the extent that they forget to take care of themselves. They forget to care for themselves. They are only always and everywhere thinking about how to make the other person, you know, feel good about themselves, be okay. That's more like what parents do for their children. But we see that in all different kinds of relationships where you find one person who believes so much in love, giving themselves over to the good of the other person. We see that a lot in, romantic relationships where one person is always at the beck and call of the other, always at the feet of the other person, serving, nurturing, mentoring, feeding, just caring and caring, caring and caring. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Mark J, thank you very much. Good day to you too. So we see we see that in romantic relationships a lot, where you find one person who so much, abandons themselves for the other person. That's the clay. That's the clay. That's what the clay believes in. Love. Love seeketh not itself to please, not for itself hath any care. That's what the clay is saying. That's what the clay is saying. Clay says, if I'm love, I'm not going to care about myself. I'm all going to be out there for the other person. I'm going to be there, take care of them and forget that I exist. Because the clay believes that it is in doing this that you build heaven, even in hell's despair. That's even in the worst conditions. When you find this kind of love, it turns things around. That's what clay is saying. It turns things around. It builds, it draws heaven down. It beautifies lives, even in the worst conditions. Think about the pandemic. Think about the pandemic. Think about how people responded to it. Think about the despair. Think about the tragedies. Think about the pain, the sorrow. Think about the fear, the collective fear that the whole of humanity experienced at that time. But also think about what love did. That's what the kind of thing that the clay is talking about. This poem was written how many years ago? But we saw it come alive even during the pandemic. The clay's version, the clay's version of love, that even in the worst human conditions, where did we hear about the last earthquake? Where was it now? Is it Venezuela? You see the destruction, you see the pain, you see the sorrow. But what does love do? What does love do? What does love do? Even in those conditions, love comes alive and brings down heaven in hell's despair. But the pebble says, no, 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 hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it there. That's not what love is. That's pebble. The pebble believes that love is something else. Thank you very much. The pebble believes that love is not what the clay thinks love is. The pebble says, listen, let me tell you. Love seeketh only self to please, to bind another to its delight, joys in another's loss of ease, and builds a hell in heaven's despite. The pebble and the clay. The clay is like untutored, uncultured, earth as it is in its purest form, very naive. That's the clay. And it says, love is beautiful. But the pebble, what's the pebble? What does the pebble stand for? The pebble that is, sitting by the brook. The brook is, a body of water. The pebble has been washed clean. Yeah, it says, so sang a little clod of clay, trodden with the cattle's feet, but a pebble of the brook, but a pebble of the brook wobbled out, bubbled out these meters meet. The pebble has been washed by the water. Would you call that? I would see that as brainwashed, brainwashed, or sophisticated, or exposed. The clay and the pebble. The clay and the pebble. The clay is humanity at its purest form, nature at its purest form, uncultured, untutored, unexposed, very naive, very beautiful, very innocent. All right? But the pebble sitting by the brook has been washed. The waters running through it, has already dealt with it, has washed it clean, brainwashed it, so to speak, has exposed it, has exposed it, has, you see the pebble talking from its own experience of having been exposed, now sophisticated in its shiny nature, it's now sparkling, it knows itself, you know it says, no, 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 love is not what you think. Love is choosing myself. Love is choosing myself. Now again, how many years ago has this poem been written? How many years ago was it written? But today, does it resonate? What this poem is talking about, does it, you know, sound contemporary? Does it still happen? Where you see someone who has gone through a lot, who has experienced so much, and now says, oh, no, 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 I'm not going to be fooled twice. I'm not going to be fooled again. No, you see. So the meaning of love changes for the pebble because of its own experience, because of its own state in life, because of its own exposure to nature, to its own experience. Probably due to that experience, it's now saying that no, Clay, you are wrong. That's not what love is. Love is self preservation. Self preservation. Because it says that people, that's what the poem is saying, that love seeks to bind itself to another just for its own delight. And we have seen it in the, you see, the song. We've seen it in the song that we read a few minutes ago. the song where the lady who meets a prince is sweet talked into a net, and then she loses her innocence, she loses her freedom. So that echoes what the pebble is saying here, that that's what love seeks to do, to bind someone else to itself for its own delight, not for the other person's good. Self-interest. Self-interest. That's what this poem is saying. So we see the two perspectives of love, the two different perspectives of love here. One is so innocent, so beautiful, all giving, self abandoning, so beautiful, ready to draw down heavens, even in the worst human conditions. But we'll see the other aspect of love, love that seeks to destroy, love that seeks self preservation to the detriment of another. Now, these are all possibilities in love. They are all possibilities in love. Which would you like to adopt as your own meaning, as your own definition of love? Which? Would it be the Clay's perspective that love brings down heaven even in hell's despair? Or are you going to adopt the Pebble's definition of love? No, no. If it's not going to profit me, it's not for me. Is that the kind of love that you are living by? For me, everything in life has to be moderated. I think both perspectives are two extremes. That's what I think. Both perspectives are two extremes. Loving to the extent of abandoning yourself even when you, that's why, that's how I some people die in, marriages, men and women alike. That's why some people die in relationships where they're going through a lot silently, and they keep taking, they keep taking, they keep going, they keep going, they keep taking until it takes them. That's an extreme. So I wouldn't want to choose that meaning of love in its entirety. The Pebbles perspective of love as well is another extreme where love is self preservation to the detriment of the other. That's another extreme. Loving in that way turns this world upside down, turns the world upside down, where everyone is seeking self interest. You don't care how the other person feels. That's how people get killed for no reason. That's how people get robbed. That's how a lot of evil get perpetrated. So those are two extremes. What would I think is the best definition of love? Moderation. A little to the right, a little to the left. One leg here, one leg there. You love, but know when to stop. You love, but know when to stop. All right, I will read you a few of my poems before we close for today. Before I do that, I would appeal to everyone to please help me share this channel, help me share the the content, help me get people to come on board, because I am actually supposed to be um, holding this event with a few friends. We're supposed to have co hosts to make it more interesting for you guys. But now I'm not able to do that because um, of the restrictions due to number of followers. Kindly support me, share the content, let other people see it, let other people follow, because I need more followers on YouTube to be able to bring on a co-host, and I need more followers my page, on my Facebook page, to be able to bring on a co-host as well. Um, just to make it very interesting, very educative, very entertaining for you guys. Please kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel. Kindly follow us on Facebook at My Disobeyed Dreams, so that by the time I'm able to cross the hurdle I'll be able to bring the co-hosts on, so we um, give you a more entertaining um, event, a more entertaining live event. I'll read you a poem or two from my collection. This collection is on Amazon. You can get this on Amazon. You can also get this book, this my novel, just newly published. You can also get it on Amazon. You can get it as well on chineloputa.com, on my website. Please support me. I would appreciate it. I'm just coming up and I need all the encouragement I can get. Thank you very much. I will now read from this: Hailstones of Love and Crackers. Hailstones of Love and Crackers. I'll read you one or two poems and then we'll call it a day. We hope to keep this event running weekly, so always come around 2 p.m. on Mondays, and when we're able to bring co-hosts on, 11 a.m. on Sundays. Singularity. I'm reading for you. Can you see it? Singularity. Singularity. Hold my hands, but don't touch me. Stand away. You reek of poise, multiplicity, and overflowing self worth. The black magic. You smell of opinions, the opium of the learned, a stench worse than the vomit of an alcoholic. I detest the beauty of the slime, the incurable rash of strength on your colored fingers, oozing with dexterity, upsetting my antique nostrils. The mind of singularity. Hold my hand still. It's your job to do my bidding. So stand afar and walk me to my bed of Hadainos, where I shall stretch straight, waiting to die, to be born again in you. Please drop your comments and let me know what you think about this poem. This one is my poetry collection, Hailstones of Love and Crackers. So I've just read one of my poems. Please drop your comments and let me know what you think about the poem. Share your thoughts about William Blake's poems, the ones we have read, and the poems I'm reading from my poetry collection, The Hailstones of Love and Crackers. I'll read a few more and then we'll call it a day for today. And this one is Little Man. Oh, I'm trying to show it the wrong way. Oh, Little Man, Little Man, Little Man. Once in a while, two roads meet in a little man. The one's face adorned with belligerent beauty, the other's smile benign with uncanny freedom. Common highways leading to nowhere. A song echoes from the other end of one road, but not a song, the ashen cry. A naked boat rocks on the mountain down there, just as the little man shrinks into a pea, his heart diving piece by piece in slow motion. The other road beckons with a wider space to be yourself and no one else, to drink to your health with a shattered glass, because you multiply in the broken pieces until it all disappears, even before the sun sets. Waste no time on which way to take. The end of the two with one fate is tied. Be safe, here and now. For saving a man only preserves him for death. Once in a while, the little man grows bigger and bolder, inside the draped urn, fading in folds, where the wisest are forever silenced. Worry not who the little man is, who is not little, but the dead. Tell me what you think about this poem. Drop your comments. Let me know what you think. I'll read the last one for today. A seed in limbo. Many deem me elusive, an illusion of paradise in the clouds, unreachable. But here I am, knocking on your still, cold, hard, tasteless talk, clueless, colorless, odorless steps. You need a surgery, or maybe a sermon, for I reckon you are not you. I saw your other waiting out in the dark. If you follow me, I can take you there. But of course, following an illusion, who does that? You need some pills or maybe some pilling, drowning yourself in an ocean of flowers, sneezing and cursing at the petals you crush with your elephantiasis. You need some drugs or maybe some death. There's no other way to a rebirth. Time is kneeling on the traumatized tracks, hosting races that end before they start. You worm your way into the pistol knowing you'll be stuck in the sticky stigma. Only a drop of your well-bred pollen and the poisoned rose is laid with love at Lily's future tomb today. Who wouldn't weep? I am weeping for you're not weeping for your other, the mighty seed, so soft and succulent, left in limbo, lying in state for eternity. Thank you for listening. Please remember that you can get copies of this and copies of this as well from Amazon. You can get them from Amazon. You can get them from Chinelo Oputa.com. Please encourage me, share the content, follow us on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram at My Disable Dreams. That's a social media handle all across all social media platforms at My Disable Dreams. This will help us to be able to bring on the co-hosts that are already itching to come on live and and host this content with me and make it more enjoyable, more entertaining for all of you. So please share the content, follow us on these social media platforms at My Disable Dreams so that very soon we'll be able to bring on the co hosts that will be taking charge of the program with me so that you will enjoy it better and it will be more fruitful for all of us. If you are a budding writer or you are a renowned writer, you want to encourage us who are just coming up and you want to share your content or you want to join us to talk to um, you know young authors, people who are just coming up, who are just trying to find their feet in the literary field. If you want to help us um, talk to them, encourage them, drop us a comment so we can um, discuss how to bring you on as well. If you want to share your writing or you want us to read your writing, you've written something you want to get a live feedback on, you can DM or you can drop a comment and we'll get back to you. We'll get in touch with you. So we'll talk about how best you want your work presented. Thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you next Monday at 2 p.m. It's a date. Please make it a date. Come on live with me so that we can share our thoughts around these literary works. Thank you and bye.